Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Money Talks. I'm your host, Bill Barhydt. Sorry for the late starts this morning. Just working on some improved audio here. Let me turn down my gain. Hopefully that will be a little bit better. And yeah. So again, good morning. Welcome to Money Talks. So we're gonna get right into it. I've got a lot of things to talk to you about. So we've got some big news on the regulatory front. Obviously, big news is the big move in Bitcoin, up almost 30% from the lows. We've got this whole kind of, I want to talk to you about what supply shock divergence means and why that's so important for what's going on right now. We've got some new coins listed in Abra. I'm going to talk to you about Polygon, Ren, Loopring. I see some questions already teed up on the live stream. So yeah, we're going to get right to it. So let me talk to you first about Bitcoin, okay? Yeah, so what's happening here? So as I said, we have this kind of supply shock divergence. And the supply shock divergence more or less manifests itself as, what I call weak hands moving to strong hands. So what we've seen, and one of the things that's really different about Bitcoin is we get all these metrics that we can see because Bitcoin has this public blockchain that we don't see in other forms of investing. And so, for example, we know in Bitcoin when money is moving off of exchanges, when crypto is moving off of exchanges, when Tether or other stable coins are moving on to exchanges, we can actually see that. And that gives us an amazing indication of what is likely to happen. And over the last month, or I should say last 2.5 months, we've seen this incredible divergence between what the on-chain and exchange technicals are telling us and what the price action is telling us. Now, in the history of Bitcoin, we've never had a permanent divergence between these numbers, meaning whatever the technicals were telling us, eventually the price caught up or down, right? And so now it looks like we're starting to see the price catch up to the technicals. And let me explain what I mean by supply shock now. Okay. So as I've mentioned to you before, the two best technical analysts that I've seen for this on-chain technical analysis are Willy Woo and Will Clemente, and I'm obviously William Barhydt, so the Wills have it. Obviously, if there's somebody named Will in crypto, you need to follow us. But as Will outlined in his newsletter the other day, on-chain activity is pretty flat. Which tells us that, the rubber band has basically wound really tight and is ready for a huge move, implying that even with this week's big move, right, it's still not even really started yet, which is pretty exciting. Okay. We've seen a little bit of profit taking during the rally of the last few days, but mostly with young coins. And every single cohort that we track in terms of how much Bitcoin are you holding is adding more Bitcoin right now. We're seeing massive miner accumulation. This is super bullish. We're seeing continued accumulation from strong hands. And by strong hands, we mean if you're an entity that has shown little history of selling, we consider you to be strong hands. The strong hands continue to accumulate. And one of the things I keep mentioning is this idea of outflows from exchanges. If you move crypto off of an exchange, generally the implication is you don't intend to sell it, at least not anytime soon. And we've seen massive, very strong outflows from exchanges the last few days. Okay, actually over the last couple of weeks, but in this week in particular, it's been very, very strong. Okay. And so, as I said, these exchange balances have taken a very big dip over the last week or so. All right, to the tune of over 60,000 Bitcoin, which is a lot of money. It's in the billions. Okay, so again, Bitcoin looking particularly bullish. So let me just make sure I'm teeing my questions up here. So you can put your questions in the live stream, and we will definitely get to them. And so far I'm seeing. Let me just turn the sound off here. Right. So yeah. And let's do a country check. Always love to do a country check. We've got a few hundred people. We've got Periscope / Twitter. I guess they're getting rid of Periscope. Everything's going to be Twitter only pretty soon. Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. So I'm seeing questions coming in from all channels. We'll get to them. And so I talked about the Bitcoin supply shock. I'll answer some questions about that if any of you have any questions about that. As I mentioned, I'm going to get to the new coin listings for Polygon, Ren, Loopring, talk to you about what we're doing there. So some of you have been asking about this latest news from the state governments where they're suing BlockFi or threatening to sue BlockFi. BlockFi is an Abra, they're a competitor. Many of you have moved from BlockFi to Abra in the last year or so because of Abra's higher interest rates. Generally, we compete with BlockFi, Celsius for the most part for your business. And obviously, those of you who've chosen Abra, we're very grateful. And generally, we offer better rates. I feel like it's the safest, lowest risk return in the industry. And also, I think one of the big advantages has to do with this news. Your Abra Earn account is actually issued by a trust bank. Okay, let me talk about that for a second. A trust bank is a regulated financial institution in the United States, right? And a trust bank is allowed to pay interest. They're allowed to take deposits, and they operate, for the most part, like most depository institutions, except they're not allowed to make loans, okay? We make our loans through our Abra lending subsidiary. So the interest that you earn is actually paid via this trust bank. And to my knowledge, we're the only company in the entire crypto industry that does that. Now, this was planned from the beginning. We worked on this for well over a year before we even launched Abra Earn last year, okay? So we've been working with Prime Trust for over 2.5 years now on this model. We're very comfortable with it. They're very comfortable with the model. We talk to the states and other regulators all the time. And rest assured that we're going to continue to watch this news and communicate with the regulators very closely. But we feel that the model we've put in place gives us a big advantage versus our competitors, and we will continue to aggressively pursue all kinds of clarity and continue to talk to regulators, as I said, and can keep your questions coming. If you're unclear about the terms of service or anything else that's doing, that's why we do the show, right? So you're totally welcome to you're totally welcome to ask your questions online. We would love to talk about whatever you want to talk about, including this issue, okay? So stay tuned for more news on that as we start to get clarity. On the one hand, I think it's good that we are going to get clarity on how the states are looking at this. On the other hand, I'm excited about all of the work that we at Abra did in advance, in my opinion, to tee this up the right way. Okay, so I just came back from Satoshi Round Table in Mexico. It was fantastic to be able to get out again and see friends in the crypto space. It had been actually almost 2 years. I know many of you, particularly in Southeast Asia, Central America, tuning in, are probably unable to travel still. I hope that the vaccines get distributed very, very soon, and this works itself out so that you can travel. But just some of the highlights for me, really interesting conversations on the mining front. Looks like as China started to ban mining in most areas, the hash rate for Bitcoin took a huge dip. And it looks like we may actually be in a protracted situation where that hash rate does not catch up to where it used to be. And the biggest reason for this is turning on new mining equipment is extremely complicated. And I actually talked to some of the larger miners who explained this to me. It looks like basically getting access to electricity getting the transformers you need, getting the facilities you need, getting the ASICs, the chips you need on the mining front, all has a multi-month, in some cases over 1 year delay. So it looks like it could be up to 18 months even before the hash rate catches up on the Bitcoin front to where it used to be. And if Ethereum goes to proof of work, those machines are probably useless for Bitcoin. So don't look for Ethereum miners to be able to help, just given the way those machines work and how that all is playing out. So again, that was really one of the more interesting discussions. Obviously, lots of talk about what's happening with the Ethereum 2.0 migration. I think I am personally really bullish on Ethereum right now. I think I personally think we're going to see a big run up in Ethereum this year. My reasons basically, I'll lay them out for you. One, it continues to win in the NFT space, right? I've talked about other blockchains like Wax that are doing really well in this space, but NFTs, obviously DeFi continues to boom. We're seeing a lot of layer 2 news now on the Ethereum front, which I'm really excited about. Obviously, with the Abra listings for Polygon and Loopring, we're going to be front and center in that discussion. The stablecoin balances, we've seen the USDC balances explode on chain based on Ethereum. And it's outpaced Bitcoin by over 2x in the last year, right? And so if the on-chain metrics and technicals are any indication, I think it's going to be a really phenomenal year and a few years for Ethereum. All right, some more compliance and regulatory news, and then I'll answer a few questions. Elizabeth Warren is at it again. She seems to, what Elizabeth Warren really needs is somebody that she knows that actually understands crypto inside and out to sit down with her and have a really long, detailed conversation about how this stuff actually works. Just saying that, shadowy developers, or developers working in the shadows, creating, this cryptocurrency needs to be addressed is not productive, okay? And there was some wording inserted into this pending infrastructure legislation that creates all kinds of tax implications for crypto. And, nothing necessarily new. Fortunately, it's mostly just, enforcement of existing tax laws. But still, the rhetoric is not helpful. And hopefully, this will work itself out. So that's that. Let me talk a little bit about some of the new listings on Abra. So I mentioned that we've got some new coins that are now available in the app for trading. If you don't see, if you go to the add button in trading, and I'll bring up the trading, the Abra app while I'm doing this. If you go to the Abra app, you'll be able to add Polygon, Ren, and Loopring into the app, and I'll talk about what they all mean in a moment. It's pretty cool. So we're fully committed. Lots of you. One of the common questions I get here in the thread every week: when is Abra going to add more tokens? We look at this almost daily, and let me bring this up here. See if I can. So we look at this almost every week, and if you go to the Abra app and you click on, the screen sharing is not working, so I'll just walk you through it. You go to your Abra app, you click on Add from Abra Trade, and you should be able to add Polygon, Ren, and Loopring into the app. Okay, so hopefully that works for you. If not, you may need to quit and restart the app, and it should show up in the background. Okay, so let me talk about each of them just briefly, and then I'll go to some questions on them or anything else that you want to talk about. So Polygon is interesting. Polygon is one of these protocols and frameworks for building what I would call Ethereum compatible networks, right? And so it's effectively a layer 2 solution that deals with some of the heavy fees and low throughputs of Ethereum or layer 1 protocol transactions in general, right? And it's getting a lot of traction right now. It's being used in a lot of different types of DApp applications, from games to DeFi and other things. And I'm personally pretty bullish on Polygon. Okay, so then we have Ren. Ren is also a cross-chain protocol. Works a little bit different from like Thorchain. Thorchain's had a rough week, but Ren is mostly used right now to create wrapped Bitcoin, and which is obviously useful in DeFi. Anybody who wants to trade Bitcoin in a Ethereum-based DEX knows that you can only trade other Ethereum-based currencies or tokens in those models. And so by being able to wrap Bitcoin in Ethereum, you can use Bitcoin in these DEXs. And then lastly, we have Loopring, which is another layer 2 technology. It's basically what we call a ZK rollup exchange and payment protocol, which is basically for layer 2 scaling, allowing you to build much higher throughputs, very low cost, non-custodial automated market makers, order book exchanges, payment services, et cetera, et cetera. So pretty cool. Abra is really excited to be able to support those technologies. Okay, so let me see here if we've got some questions. Oh, yes, we do. Okay, so let me kind of work my way backwards here and see what we've got. So a lot of people are asking about the best way to work with Abra customer service. We have a really good upgraded support function in the app. If you have a question, you go to contact us in the app, and there is a pull-down menu. After it automatically fills in the information, and then at the end it says, what do you want help with? And it actually walks you through the process for making sure you get help on exactly the right topic. And we're seeing response times of literally less than 15 minutes right now. So this is a very good time. We've really added a lot of capabilities to Abra support. So David asks, Bill, any thoughts about Abra Earn paying interest in crypto? David, we do pay interest in crypto today, so you can earn interest on Bitcoin, Ethereum, dollars, as stablecoins, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Stellar, and we pay interest in kind. So if you deposit Bitcoin, you get interest in Bitcoin. If you deposit Ethereum, you get interest in Ethereum. If you deposit USDC, you get interest in USDC. Lewis asks, what is the best source for research on crypto asset demographic profiles? So Lewis, I look a lot at, let's see, I look at CoinDesk, I look at Messari, Ryan Selkis's company. They have really good research material. Crypto Market Cap has some materials. There's not a lot of information out there on demographic profiles in general. I haven't seen much of that, but there's a lot of background material on what kind of projects are working on these different crypto blockchain platforms. So hopefully that can help you out. So Christopher asks a really good question. Do we anticipate having statements so we can show assets held at Abra for loan qualification purposes? So Christopher, this is a great question. This is something we've tried to figure out and we are actively working on. Lots of customers ask us for this. So for example, if you're trying to get a mortgage, right, how can you basically show your crypto holdings, for example, in Abra Earn, in order to help qualify for the mortgage? So because crypto is a relatively new space, it's not generally looked upon favorably by the banks when you're trying to get a mortgage in the US, but this is something we're working on and we hope to have a solution soon. Many of you have tried to generate a solution to this problem. It's not just a question of giving you a report. We also need to figure out a way to present it in a way that the banks will accept. So we're going to have to work with Prime Trust on that as well. Christopher also asks, are we working on a way to do tax lot sales? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Christopher. So maybe you can ask a clarifying question to clarify what you mean by that. So Mike Reed asks, could Abra become a non-profit bank? Mike, I don't think so. We have investors who expect a return. Abra needs to be a sustainable business in order to continue to provide the services we do. We're a profitable company. When we generate interest for you in Abra Earn, the vast majority, that's like 80+% of that interest goes to you, and that's a good thing. And the piece that makes us our profits allows us to continue to bring you the great services that we do. Okay, seeing lots of different countries here, which is pretty cool. When will ADA, which is Cardano, be in Earn? Timothy, I don't have a good answer for that. We're still waiting on our partners to be able to support it. Abra is ready to go. Hopefully, they'll be able to deal with it soon. RB asks, any update on when Abra will offer accounts for minor children? RB, no, nothing to announce there. Something we'd love to do, but we don't currently support. If there's 2 parents in the household, then maybe one of the 2 parents can also have an Abra wallet for the child. I do that for my youngest son as well. So that's something you can consider. But of course, the wallet is in the adult's name. So let's see what else. Great questions. Keep them coming. Will Abra offer a credit card that earns Bitcoin? So RB, I can't comment on future product plans. I'll just say that it's something that we very much want to do. Let's say, it's definitely something that's very high on my list. So Ronald says, Binance was banned in Malaysia. What's the world coming to? I think, I think the kind of Wild West that some of these early exchanges operated in is probably coming to a close, and everyone is going to have to operate under a level playing field of regulatory compliance going forward. So Darren asks, I need help reinstalling my bank account to my wallet. So Darren, if you reinstall Abra on a new device, you may need to contact customer support depending upon how you did it. I see here that support online in the chat mentioned that they contacted you, so hopefully that will help. One question about Spanish support. When is Abra going to support Spanish? We will in the coming months have translated versions of Abra. I don't have a specific date for you. We've been working really hard over the past kind of 18 months to get Abra to the point where we felt the app was relatively stable so that we can do the translations once, and I feel like we're pretty much there. So that's something that we're actively trying to figure out. Let's see. So Zoro, I don't know how to pronounce it. Zoroaster asks, I have 95% of my money in Abra Earn. Are there risks of losing money in Abra Earn? If so, what are those risks? So Zoro, I do the same thing. I have all of my liquid cash and crypto in Abra Earn. Every single deposit that gets made is basically assigned to effectively different investment opportunities via our partnership with Prime Trust, and those include institutional loans, it includes retail loans, it includes DeFi, and we have a risk committee that goes to great lengths to validate and evaluate all of the opportunities that we use to generate yield. In the entire time that we've offered this product, we haven't lost a penny in terms of any kind of loan we've done. Most of these loans are very well collateralized, and we also haven't lost a penny in principal on any DeFi investment opportunities that we've taken advantage of. We tend to take a long time to onboard new counterparties and also to evaluate new DeFi strategies. So to be clear, there is a risk of loss, but in the entire time we've been doing this, we've never experienced a loss. So I'm comfortable enough, the Abra management team is comfortable enough where we use this to manage our crypto and most of us our cash as well. So Greg asks, when was the last time Abra offered a new crypto coin? And the answer is we just did it yesterday. So Greg, you should look at the Twitter feed to get an update there. Daniel asks, do I listen to Robert Breedlove? Yes, I do. I talk to Robert a few times a year. We caught up a few weeks ago. Great guy, strongly recommend following him. Very smart. Samanami mentions Abra's awesome, really easy to earn interest on crypto. Great work. Thank you very much. Let's see. Why does the Abra app give me Abra not available at my location? I'm in Canada. So Louis, Abra Earn is available in Canada, but the lending capabilities are not. We are in the process of working out our lending license registration in Canada and hope to bring that to you soon. So stay tuned for that. I think Canada and the UK are very high on our list to get Borrow turned on. Okay, so I just heard from my team that we are now generating manual statements for people who need a bank loan and need a statement for their bank. Okay, so this is back to Christopher's question from about 20 minutes ago. Christopher, if you email support@abra.com, they can get you that statement. Just clarify that it works for you when you get the statement. And we're checking this with lots of users manually first. I've just been told. I'm getting the information in real time. I didn't know this myself. Abra team working hard for us in the background. And once they're comfortable that the statements actually work for the majority of users, we'll build it into the app so that you can basically use it for applying for your mortgage or personal loan or whatever kind of financial loan application or other proof of account details that you need. Louis, just to make sure I clarified, on Canada, Abra Earn is available in Canada. The ability to borrow is not available yet. Let me talk about Abra Borrow for a second. Okay, so as you know, we launched borrowing against your crypto holdings back in March. We've launched a few new states in the last few weeks. I think we're live now also in Wyoming and Utah and a couple of other states. So we've only got a couple of states missing now, and we're working hard to get those integrated into the app. And so we also launched our zero interest loan product a couple of weeks ago. It's been about 3 weeks now, where you can basically, for 2 years, get an interest-free loan against your crypto holdings. Many of you have taken advantage of this. Really excited about that. It's growing super fast in popularity. So keep those loan applications coming. It's great. It's a great way to take advantage of your crypto holdings and still continue to get the gains. All right. Let's see. Nikita, feeling like a boss, investing and listening at the same time. Right on. I agree. Let's see. Chester, Elizabeth Warren does not need facts. Well, we need Elizabeth Warren to want and need the facts. So while we can get angry, and I do often get angry about how U.S. politicians who don't understand crypto react to some of this, it's incumbent upon us to support organizations like Coin Center, there's some other lobby organizations in DC now, for example, that take a lot of time to work with the staffers of these Congress people to educate them on crypto so that hopefully this rolls up to the likes of Senator Warren. Because look, we can fight them all day, but we ultimately need them to understand. And I have seen some comments that are a little bit more encouraging in the past few days that crypto may have a place, for example, in financial inclusion. That was a comment I hadn't heard from her office before. So I think we will get there over time, especially when they realize, very much like in the early days of the internet, that you can't fight it to death. It's just not possible. So you may as well figure out how to embrace it and help people use it responsibly. Okay. Let's see. It says. Let's see. I got a bunch more questions here. Trying to get to some new questions. I've got more questions about Abra cards. And so lots of people, yeah, of course, AJ, Abra is available in over 100 countries. So unless you're in a sanctioned country, there's a very good chance that Abra works for you where you live. Certainly for trading and earning, should be available globally now. I'm not aware of any major countries where you can't use Abra. So John asks, can I open an LLC account? Yes, we support business accounts at Abra. So if you send an email to support@abra.com, they will forward you to our institutional team to get that account open. Usually, if you provide all the documents we need, it takes 24 hours. So very, very fast. And you can use the institutional account for trading, for earning interest, for borrowing, just like you can as a consumer. It's just not done in the app yet. In the future, you will be able to use your business account via the app, but our team can handle all of that by communicating directly with you. So just email support, tell them you want the business account, and they'll get you going. So if you are waiting, a few people here commented that they've been waiting on their Prime Trust application for Abra Earn when you submitted your ID documentation. Again, if you're not getting a response, just quickly reach out to support@abra.com. Include your wallet ID. Again, use the app itself. Go to contact us. Tell them what you're contacting them about, and you'll get a response. Usually, like I said, now in a few minutes. Okay. Let's see, and let me see what I'm just reading. Why can't we convert USDC to cash instead of having to convert it to true USD first? Great question, Dave. So first of all, that's something that we are going to change. So eventually you will be able to go to and from your bank account to USDC. Let me talk about stablecoin support for a second so I get the whole picture for everyone. In the Abra app, we support USDC, PAX, we support DAI, we support Tether, we support True USD. Today, if you're coming in and out via bank account, right, ACH in the US or Bankwire, you go directly to True USD. And that's because we're integrated with the Trust Token Mint. Trust Token is the company that makes True USD. And that mint is the process of taking a dollar from the banking system and creating that ERC20 or Ethereum-based Trust Token or True USD token, or unminting it, which takes the True USD token and sends it back to the dollar back to your bank account in this case. We are not yet fully integrated with the USDC mint. So you can deposit USDC directly. You can withdraw USDC to an external wallet, but you can't come in and out yet from your bank account to USDC. We are working on that. No specific date for it yet. We don't pre-announce dates, but it is coming. So our goal is to allow you to choose which of those tokens you want your incoming funds to land in. There's no inherent advantage today to storing your crypto in any particular stablecoin in Abra. We can support all of them, but we will give you the option to choose in the future when you're coming in and out via your bank account. Okay. And also, if you happen to generate USDC on another exchange, you can deposit it into Abra, convert it to True USD, and then withdraw to your bank account. So hopefully that makes sense. All right. So don't worry about not being able to get money out to your bank account if you come in via a different stablecoin. It always works. You just have to convert it to True USD first, and then you can withdraw. Okay. Let's see. Will we add Eon or Nexus to the app? Nothing to announce. We're looking at, as I said, at tokens all the time. We also are in touch with our custody and trading and liquidity partners all the time. And a lot of times we want to add tokens before they're ready. And so we can't always do that, but it's something that we constantly are looking at. Emotion Art says, I need help with an exchange. So if you need help, usually if you just send, like I said, send an email to support@abra.com and they can take care of you. Okay. Doug mentioned the gas fees are very high right now. Yeah, Doug, right now the Ethereum gas fees are not lending themselves to small dollar transactions. There's really not much we can do about that. When the Ethereum price really starts to take off, Usually gas fees go with it. The last few weeks, when volatility was very low, the gas fees actually were very, very low. But like I said, once the price starts to go up, the gas fees climb again. Now, our belief and our hope is that the 2.0 upgrades to Ethereum will fix this problem. But that remains to be seen. And one of the other things that's going on in the background is this new this 1559 upgrade to Ethereum, which is going to launch in a few days. Not only is this going to, in theory, create what we call deflationary pressure on Ethereum, which could actually make the price go up over time if it makes Ethereum scarce, but it's really meant to address this fee problem, right? So that's a good thing, and it's a little complicated the way it works, but basically you're going to have a kind of a base fee and then a maximum fee, and then depending upon what you end up having to pay to get your transaction published, the delta is going to be given back to you, so you probably won't be overpaying anymore to have transactions published. And then part of that base fee is actually going to be burned, which is what in theory could make Ethereum a deflationary asset, similar to the way I guess that BNB was burned by Binance in the early days, which drove up the price of Ethereum. So yet another upgrade to Ethereum that makes me bullish. Okay, so I know you didn't ask about the upgrades, but I am bullish on those because I think they're going to address some of this fee issue, not necessarily a capacity issue. I think the coming upgrades to Ethereum, when we move to proof of stake, will address the capacity issues, and we need those desperately. Okay, let's see. If I downloaded the Abra app 2 months ago, do I need to reinstall the app? No, you do not. You just go to your app store and make sure that the updated version has been installed automatically by the app store. And that should be all you need to do. The app itself updates itself in the background to get the latest tokens that we support. You don't need to reinstall the app or anything like that. Is BTC insured in Abra? I think is the question that Ronald is asking. So Ronald, deposits are not insured. The FDIC does not recognize crypto as an insurable asset by a bank. And because we're investing these cryptos to generate yield, they're not easily insurable today. But honestly, for me, once you get into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, insurance doesn't help anyway because there's limits on how bank insurance works. So, I'm much more in favor of the stablecoin Abra Earn model. And the reason is that banks can actually lend out more money than they take in. That's called fractional reserve banking, okay? And also hold less deposits than what they take in. Part of this idea of fractional reserve banking. So, whereas with crypto companies, Circle, Trust Token, they have to hold 100% reserves for the stablecoin, meaning that if you have $1 million in deposits that you have made to generate USDC, the bank has to hold $1 million. So that's a much safer model than the traditional banking system. Okay, and then if you look at how we generate the yield, I actually think it's safer than the traditional banking system. So to me, this is less about insurance and more about how the system works in the first place. All right. Lucius asks if we can turn on English subtitles. I'm sure we can. So Mr. Wizard helping us here in the background. So for future or for the recording, I think we can turn on English subtitles so that people who are watching the recording can read along if English is not the first language. I really recognize and have a great deal of respect for those of you who are not native English speakers using Abra. We have people from literally 100 countries using the app. And I hear from a lot of you that you actually prefer to use the app in English because you like the idea of using the app the same way we are, but many of you actually want native language support, which I totally get. I would want that as well. And so that's something that we are going to do. I appreciate that many of you are forced to ask questions here and not in your native language, and I have a lot of respect for that. So recognize that, and look, if you are not comfortable in English and you need to contact support in your native language, just ask the question in your native language, and we'll do the best we can to translate for you and hopefully answer the question in a way that's understandable. Okay, there's lots of technologies now, about that will allow you to translate in real time and things like that. A BC asks, what is our opinion on the frequent discussions on a crypto and stock market correction in September? So look, I've been talking about this online a lot, and I've used this phrase stagflation, and somebody asked me earlier, what is stagflation? Okay, so anybody who's over the age of 45 maybe remembers the 1970s or has read about the 1970s when we went through this period where inflation was skyrocketing. Jimmy Carter was president, and inflation was skyrocketing, but the economy was slowing down tremendously, and they couldn't stop it. And this was really stagflation, right? You had a stagnating economy, inflating prices. Interest rates were upwards of 15%. Now, obviously, we're at like 0% inflation, but if inflation continues at the rate it's going, the government may have no choice but to start to raise rates in an environment where I think we're going to have another slowdown. There's this misperception, or this perception, which is incorrect in my opinion, that we're going to go through a massive growth spurt in the economy. And I think people are going to be very disappointed by this. I think that we're going to see a significant slowdown. We're going to see a tapering of growth, and it's going to be much slower than expected in Q3. And if this Delta variant doesn't get better and people don't start taking this vaccine, then I think we could even get back into recession again, which would be a disaster, which also means that we're going to end up with central banks doing more quantitative easing, not less, right? Then we really end up in this kind of stagflation model, which is going to be crazy. So, I've written about this online a lot. I'll continue to look at it as we go. Raoul Pal and others have talked about it. I think there's a general disconnect between bond markets and what people or what I'm actually seeing on the ground in different countries and different parts of the United States right now, where the recovery is just not even. And part of this is driven by people not taking the vaccine. Part of it is driven by commodity costs that had a temporary supply shock. But in general, I think the recovery is going to be very slow. Now, what does that mean? Back to the question about stocks and crypto. I think that if there's this perception that the economy is going to slow down, it could have an initial hit on growth stocks, just like we did last March. But once the idea hits in that kicks in that the government is going to not let the economy falter or not let us suffer any short-term pain, then I think the chances are that we basically go up and to the right again are very high. Okay, so enough of that. Does Abra have any special meaning as a name? Just curious. So not really. I mean, we did like the moniker of ABRA, a better remittance app, when we first created the company, because remittances is one of the kind of cornerstones of our crypto banking future. And crypto will be heavily used in remittances, but in general, we wanted a clever, simple, easy to remember, easy to pronounce name globally. And it was very hard to get Abra.com, by the way, when we first started the company, but nothing special beyond that. We just really wanted it to have a very positive, strong connotation and work globally. Another question about whether we'll make an Abra card, which I've already addressed. Again, something that we really, really want to do, but we don't pre-announce features, so stay tuned. In that light, McClaw goes a step further and says, what is the future of Abra over the next few years? So I'll address that in very simple terms and say, look, we see Abra as kind of the bank of the future, right? So I think that the traditional banking system is going to die. I think that it's going to be very difficult for old style banks to compete with internet-based banks. And I think there's going to be two types of internet-based banks. There's going to be all these fintech companies like the Robinhood, SoFi, Wealthfront companies that take old school financial services and make it more accessible to younger people. Then I think there's going to be crypto companies that build crypto-centric banking services that start to integrate more and more old school features, whether it's stock buying or credit cards or other payment services, other types of investment services into that crypto environment. And Abra obviously falls into that camp. And so I think you're going to see more and more capabilities from Abra in the coming years, more and more global expansion. Our team is working so hard right now on so many cool new things that I can't talk to you about yet that I'm obviously very excited about. So we've got a really robust product roadmap that takes us out probably a couple of years at this point. And I think this idea of being a crypto bank is going to become a globally accepted component of the future of banking, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'll take one more question before we call it a day. Good question. So what Rita says, I thought Abra was short for abracadabra. Well, it certainly can be. I hear that all the time. And so what about an Abra referral program? So while we don't pre-announce things, this is more of a marketing thing. So I will tell you that we will be adding a referral program. It's something that we've been looking very hard at. And the question for us is, how do we do it in a way that's really special, easy to use, motivating? How do we make the rewards really motivating? Trust me, we've been working over time on that one. It's something that I've been pushing very hard for, and it's something we're definitely going to do. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so we covered a lot of ground today. Let's see where we are price-wise. We're right at about 39. So it looks like on the Bitcoin front, 39K in dollars. We've had a really nice pullback versus the run-up. And this is what we want to see. Nothing goes straight up, right? We want to see like little pullbacks that tell us that we're heading towards another run-up. And we had like 7 days in a row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 green candles in a row, my Lord. So you don't see that too often, right? So we had 9 daily green candles, and which means days of gains. And I'm pretty sure we're going to have a red candle today, unless something dramatic changes in the next 6 or so hours. So it looks like we're getting ready for a little bit of sideways action, maybe for a couple of days, and then we'll see what happens Sunday, Monday. But I think this baby wants to go back to low 50s, which is what the supply shock kind of tells us that the natural price should be. So if we get back to the low 50s and we can sustain that for a couple of weeks, then I think we're off to all-time highs. So that's my reading of the proverbial tea leaves. But right now, I think we've recovered nicely. We've clearly broken out of that downward channel we were in, and things are looking like the price wants to catch up to the on-chain metrics that I was talking about earlier. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. Wish you all a fantastic weekend. Thank you always for your support for Money Talks. Keep the questions coming. We can continue the conversation on Twitter. Many of you have been commenting on the comments that I've been making on Twitter. I'll answer more questions there later this morning, my time. I see some really great comments about some of the other things we were talking about, so that's great. I really appreciate the dialogue. In the meantime, if you have access to the vaccine, please take it. You're not only helping yourself, you're helping those of you around you, and it'll let us all hopefully meet at some crypto conferences sooner rather than later when we get out into the public. So stay safe, and we'll see you next week on Money Talks. Take care, everyone.